most of you know, it's Palm Sunday is today. And that song is actually from Disney in this, what is it? Hercules. And it was in 1997. So it's a perfect song because the road less traveled, Jesus, the teacher, was heading towards Jerusalem, which means inner peace, but there wasn't going to be inner peace there at the moment when he arrived. And this is actually the Christian tradition of Holy Week, where it leads to Jesus' crucifixion on Good Friday and the resurrection on Easter Sunday. Now, metaphysically, Palm Sunday is actually about the greatest transformation work that can ever be done. And what it is it's moving from human consciousness, a human-only consciousness, to the us, the Christ consciousness. It's centered either in me, the ego, which was represented by Adam back in the day, because he was just concerned about himself. But then the evolution became the Christ consciousness. And so moving from that victimhood to empowerment. Now, in unity, we view the Bible as metaphorically, as the story of every man and every woman's evolution of consciousness. Everyone is the main character and all the characters that are involved. The central story of the entire Bible is the evolution of consciousness. Everyone is in this journey of evolving from a limited, let's say, caterpillar, which is just focused on itself and eating and all of that, and it's just focused only on itself. But then it goes into the cocoon, which I'll also call the tomb of transformation, where during that time there's a shift in consciousness, and it emerges as this beautiful butterfly. We're all these caterpillars in the process of becoming the butterflies that we are. So we see in Jesus this great demonstration of his journey, which is also just our journey. Palm Sunday isn't even really about Jesus. It's about you. The Palm Sunday of you. And that's what we're going to look at today. So the question is, are you ready to step into that road less traveled? Are you ready to shift your own consciousness that is affected by our world's circumstances and rise up into that consciousness that keeps us anchored so that we can go the distance when we have crazy things happening in our world? I actually had a thought this morning which surprised me, but I guess on some level it didn't. You know, the things that trouble us, the people that trouble us the most, this thought came in, we need them. Because the journey to becoming the Christ is about the challenges and how each and every one of us can face the fears and go the distance and rise up in spite of all the crazy things that are going on in the world. That's why this book, The Government of Eden, is so powerful, because it keeps me on track and it gives me a different idea, different perspective, and God knows I need a different perspective. It's shifting from a fear-based to a love and all is one-based. So Jesus actually had two names. It was Jesus or Joshua, which was his cultural name. And then there was Emmanuel, which was his name as one with God. So he was in this transformation to go from Jesus, the man, to that Christ consciousness of one with God. That was his story. And it's my story, and it's your story. And he needed to demonstrate this whole process. And he did a really good job because he's known all over the place. Not that we need to be known, but he started at age 12 because he was lost, and he wasn't lost. His parents thought he was lost. And they went to the temple, and he goes, "Don't you know I'm in my Father's house?" It was the first time he became aware that he was something more. There was more of a mission and a purpose for his being present. So he starts there, and we don't know where he was from ages basically 12 to 30, according to the Bible and the teachings. But my guess is he was in India. He was learning from the masters and the yogis there about the spiritual practices. So what did Jesus teach? He taught three main things. First of all, that God is love. That the two main laws are to love God first and to love others like you love yourself. He taught love. The second one was he taught spiritual principles that it is done unto us as we believe. That was his core, that principle. So we need to pay attention to what we think and believe because it's creating our outer experience. And number 3, know ye not that ye are gods. He understood that we were more than a physical individual being, that we actually had a spirit that was connected to all, that we are all one, that we're just reflections and individualized expressions of that one life. And his teachings actually cover the basic 5 principles of unity. And the first one is what? God, that's the core values. God is all there is. Yes. Number 2, if God is all there is, then we are one with God. Number 3, our thoughts and our beliefs are creating our lives and our reality. Number 4, it's through prayer and meditation that we connect to that deeper part of ourselves, that Christ consciousness, the one that is beyond fear, that can go beyond the fear and see things differently from a higher perspective. And the last one is live the truth. Live truth principles every day. So he was this great teacher, but he wasn't just to teach. He needed to demonstrate. And what he was doing was he was showing us the path. And when it came time, basically, to start this Holy Week, he needed to face his fears. The fears, I'm sure, he was a human being. But I'm going to talk about Holy Week and the metaphysics of it. And it actually started the day before, quote, Sunday, the Palm Sunday. And it was called Lazarus Saturday. And basically, Lazarus and his 2 sisters, Martha and Mary, they are all aspects of our own consciousness, okay? Everybody represents part of ourselves. So Martha was that objective part of our consciousness, the one that's planning and making sure things are working and is very action-oriented. Then you have Mary, and she is intuitive. She's inner-directed. We all have that aspect, our intuition. And Lazarus is the one that doesn't know who he is. He's asleep. He doesn't recognize and know that he's the divine in expression. We all have a part of us that doesn't remember 24/7 that I'm the divine and so is everybody else. You know, he's just not clued into that. So anyway, Lazarus is ill, and Jesus gets word. He waits a couple days, shows up. Well, Lazarus has passed, and he's now in the tomb with the stone there, and Martha comes up and says, well, if you had only been here, he wouldn't have died. And Jesus basically said 3 things. Roll away the stone. Roll away the stone. And gave thanks to Spirit so that there was a recognition of the power that he was engaging in. And third, Lazarus, come forth. Basically, wake up. Wake up to who you are. See, we have to be awake and aware in order to transform. The Buddha was once asked, are you a saint? Buddha, no. Are you a teacher? No. Are you an angel? No. Who are you? And the Buddha said, I'm awake. I'm awake. How awake are we? How awake am I to the truth? I don't know about you, but I need something to keep me on track. That's why I have a couple books that are written by mystics that I am reading every day to keep me on track. The other one is by Maribel Starr, The Everyday Mystic, or something to that effect. But, and you'll be hearing more about her in the upcoming days, because I want to go beyond the mind. I want to go to that presence. Mysticism is about something deeper, okay, than our minds. And I want to plug in, and we need to plug in to that deeper part. So, a couple questions. Where are you asleep? And what is the stone that is blocking you from being awake? I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and take a breath. Ask yourself, where am I experiencing some form of lack or limitation in my life? Where am I experiencing some form or lack or limitation? Just listen with no judgment. We recognize that this is the place where we have been asleep to the truth of who we are. And so now I invite you to ask yourself, what is the stone of illusion, the stone of limiting belief that is blocking my unlimited good? And listen. And recognizing that we all have stones, limiting beliefs, that we need to wake up to the truth. And so now that stone is rolled away. And you wake up and you hear the voice of love, of truth, that counteracts the stone of limiting belief. And what is that affirmation? So once you hear that, you can go ahead and take a breath and open your eyes and let it go. So it's about being aware and being awake. And that leads us right into Palm Sunday. And there was a little boy named Sammy who happened to be ill one Sunday morning. It happened to be Palm Sunday, and he had to stay home with the babysitter. And so when his family came back, he asked his dad, so what was it like at church today? And Dad said, well, the people, because they came home with some palm fronds, and he said, what were those for? And his dad said, well, they held them over Jesus' head when he walked by. And Sammy goes, darn it, just the one time that I don't go to church, he shows up. Right. So we're going to move into from Lazarus Saturday to Palm Sunday. And the story basically is that Jesus tells a couple of his disciples, go and bring me this unridden colt and bring it to me. And so they do. And then they place their cloaks upon this donkey. And Jesus gets on the donkey, and the crowds begin to gather, and they're putting their cloaks on the ground and some palm fronds on the ground. And as he enters from that road, from Jericho to Jerusalem, they're shouting, Hosanna, Hosanna in the name of the Lord and the highest. And so the hosannas, I'm going to read it. Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven. So a few symbolisms, since I'm going metaphysical today with you. The donkey. Why the donkey? Why not a horse? Well, the donkey is meekness. We need to bring in our meekness, not to come parading in. It's also very sure-footed versus a horse, which can get easily spooked and prance around. And just being on that meek path, knowing that Jesus did not need a show of who he was. He just came in with simplicity. Then Jerusalem, that stands for inner peace and harmony and oneness. You have the name Jesus. That is the man, the limited man consciousness. You have the Christ, which is the butterfly, free, open, everybody is one consciousness. The crowds represent the voices that you hear and the people that support you in going forth. This place is your crowd. You want to hang out with people who think like you and want to encourage you and not discourage you. The palms represent victory and spiritual strength. And the hosannas represent the energies within us that sense the freedom that comes from limited thinking. For me, a hosanna is yippee-doo, which that's my form of hosanna. Yippee-doo. So the trip to Jerusalem actually represents our intention to erase or to crucify our error thinking and limiting beliefs. So he needed to put his human limited belief system to death so that he could rise up and have the pure consciousness of oneness of who he was and who we all are. Jesus knew his purpose. How many of us know our purpose? He even said, "Shall I say, Father, save me from this hour? It was for this very reason I have come to this time and hour." I'm sure that Jesus had fears. He was human. Of course he did. I have fears. You have fears. It's part of our being in a human body, but we're spiritual beings. So what was it that got Jesus to know his mission? Well, he was tapped in. He was tapped into the divine within. He spent time in meditation out on the mountain by himself in the silence. So he got tapped in. And he also had a vision. He had a vision of what was his purpose. I just asked myself the other day, actually I've been asking myself, so what is my purpose? You think, what is my purpose? And not really having an answer. And then one morning in the kitchen, I just heard the voice say, your purpose is to love people. Your purpose, Liz, is to love people. And I went, oh, I can do that. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. My purpose is to love people. And that's doable. I can love people, like the Balinese. And that means love everyone, love your enemies, love those that persecute and curse you. Back to something I started to say earlier was that we need those that are the villains in life. We need the witch of the West. We need the Darth Vader. We need those folks that challenge us, that we're afraid of, right? Because they are in place. I hate to say that we need those that are in our world right now creating chaos, but it's what's going to make me stronger. It's going to bring me into a higher expression of the divine that I am. So I'm actually thankful, which I couldn't believe that I'm actually saying now. However, that's what this book about the government of Eden is doing for me. It's shifting my consciousness. It's not the government of man, it's the government of Eden, of spirit. I live in a spiritual world, and I'm anchored in spirit, and every time I read this book every day, it anchors me even more. I hope that you all take that class. I can't help but bring it forth because it's really affecting me. So, imagine that you know what your purpose is. You have a vision of what you're here to do and be. Now, just going back to the analogy of a caterpillar. Caterpillars, did you know that there are imaginal cells in a caterpillar? Basically, those cells in the brain of the caterpillar have to be activated. The imaginal cells need to be activated for that caterpillar to become a butterfly. Now, at first, the consciousness of the caterpillar is going to fight the imaginal cells waking up, okay? Because it's used to what it's used to and wants to hang on. But at some point, those imaginal cells will activate. And I'm going to invite you to start imagining a world that actually works for everyone and that is peaceful and calm and kind, and that we're doing the work and that we can face our fears and move right through them. So a quick little acronym for you, of course. The road less traveled is actually the road of faith, because you can be on the road of fear, but turning that into faith. So R means remember who you are. Let's say that together. Remember who you are, and that you are a butterfly, and that you are greater than what you know. O means to open to those limiting beliefs in the tomb of your mind, the tomb, the gloom, and we want to open up and recognize what those limiting beliefs are. And you can say this, whatever it is, has no power over me. Let's say it. This has no power over me, because we deny it having power. It's a thing, but the government has no power over me. And there's a part of me that wants to fight and go, yes, it does. I have to stay on that track. I am staying on it. So you got your open to those limiting beliefs. Next is your A. I just talked about activate your imaginal cells. You've got to activate those and give them energy. And D means that you're going to decide and do whatever it is that is yours to do. D, decide and do what it is that you're here to do. So what's the one thing that you can do this week to help you face your fears? I'm just letting you think about that. You might do more prayer. You might call and have a prayer with your prayer partner. You might sign up for a monthly prayer. You might sign up for a class and do some spiritual study. You're going to do something, because I remember the Kamala Harris going, or Michelle Obama, do something. We can do something. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be love people. Love yourself. So we're going to turn our fears into faith. And we're going to walk down that road less traveled, the path of faith. And we're going to face it, and we're going to face it together. We're not meant to be alone. Spirit is not leaving us hanging. We need what is happening in our world. We are stronger and bigger, and that which is within me and within you is far greater than any crazy things that are happening in the world. And we're going to stick together, and we're going to rise up into the God consciousness that can change our world and is. Whether we believe it or not, I believe it. And we need to rub off on each other. And Joel Goldsmith believes it. That's why I read him, because he's telling me a different belief, a different way to see things. So what's that thing that you can do to be brave? I know that there's something that you can do that's outside the box. And what can you do, like Jesus, to be brave and face those fears? Thank you.